In this episode of Definitely Not Therapy, and I can't stress that enough, it is definitely not therapy, I'll be speaking to Steve. Now, Steve is really passionate about spreading awareness around mental health, especially men's mental health. Having seen struggles firsthand, he understands the importance of having a safe space to be able to open up and to be able to talk without judgment. I, from experience, obviously opened up and shared my story with the internet, and the internet isn't always a safe space. It's twofold, really. I put myself out on the internet and it's incredible because I get overwhelming support, but you also put yourself out on the internet and you get overwhelming judgment as well. I'm really keen to spread awareness around men's mental health, and I think it's okay to talk, whether it's on the internet, whether it's in a safe space. I think men should be able to talk wherever they feel comfortable. My journey is about spreading awareness. I do want to put myself out there, and do you know what, if it comes with some judgment and it comes with some trolls and it comes with some negativity and it comes with some content or it comes with some form of pushback, do you know what, if it helps one person, it's been worth it. If I was to show you my DMs, I can tell you it's worth it, because the amount of people that have messaged me that have been going through it and have been struggling, and actually for whatever reason they see my videos and they can relate to it, they might make them laugh, they might think, oh, he's struggling as well and he's out and he's on the internet and he's got all these followers and he's still putting himself out there. You know, it makes me not feel alone. If I showed you my DMs, you would understand why I put myself out there and why I continue to push the narrative that we do need to talk about men's mental health. But we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about Steve's story. Let's welcome Steve onto the podcast. This is Definitely Not Therapy. Definitely Not Therapy. Welcome, Steve, to Definitely Not Therapy. Thanks for joining me, mate.
Thank you.
Obviously, me and Steve, we've got a little bit of history. We worked together for, what was it, about maybe a year back in our estate agency days?
Year and a bit.
Year and a bit. I'm doing this podcast because I want to spread awareness. I want to talk to a different stranger every episode. As it happens, we happen to know each other. But obviously, you've had your mental health struggles, and I'm currently having had mental health struggles as well. But I want to talk to a kind of a different person every single week that maybe had some struggles, where we can spread some awareness. We can hopefully show other people who are sitting there now, maybe going through the thick of it, that actually it's okay. You don't need to feel alone. There's other people that are going through the exact same thing as you. I genuinely believe as well that you don't have to be a big CEO of a company or celebrity to have a really interesting story, or to have had struggles and to have gone through it and come out the other end and actually be doing okay in life. So that's why I want to just talk to kind of real people, real stories, just real talk. And if we can sort of share that and spread awareness and hopefully make people feel less alone, then I think it's a good thing to do. And if someone sat there now in the same spot that perhaps when you share your story, they might relate to it and think, oh, that's me now, or I was there, or whatever, then hopefully they'll just feel like it's okay to talk, it's okay to reach out and ask for help. And there's people that have clearly been in the same situation as me, and now look at them, they're doing okay. And I know that's not the same for everyone. You know, there's so many groups out there that are kind of suicide prevention, especially in men's mental health. And I think that's one of the things I'm really passionate about, because I get so many DMs from people that were like, I've been so close to that point and this happened, and it's, you know, meant that I'm still here. And that's amazing to hear, but it's just, I think it's heartbreaking that so many men get to that point in the first place. And that's what I think we need to spread awareness to try and stop. So before we sort of get into the heavy stuff about your story, let's have a little bit of an icebreaker and get to know a little bit about Steve. So if you can just sort of introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, and so you said back in our estate agency days, I've gone back to estate agency days. Yeah, I come from Croydon originally.
Yeah.
A town most well known for being on fire is how I describe it, which is true.
Yeah.
Moved down to the coast 8 years ago now, something like that. I'm settled now, got a fiance.
Wow. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. We're getting married 2027.
Amazing. And when we sort of knew each other and when we worked with each other, you would probably admit that actually you wouldn't have seen that in your future. You wouldn't have thought that was possible.
No. I mean, and again, we'll touch on this a bit later, but like when we worked together, you know, the distant future for me in my head, the distant future was like the next week.
Yeah.
That's how far in advance. On a good day, I might have been thinking, "Oh, I've got that event next week that I've got to go to."
Yeah.
But actually, like getting up in the morning was a struggle.
Well, let's start at let's start early days, like growing up. What was growing up like for you?
You know what? Growing up, like looking back on it, I had a really good childhood. Like my dad had a good job. My mum my mum could afford to be a stay-at-home mum. I got two brothers. Obviously, I'm the middle child, so I was, doomed from the start.
Yeah,
practically invisible. But like looking back on it, I had a real bee in my bonnet about my childhood. But I went to a good school. I had a good home. I was bullied at school, but I think everyone could probably say that to a degree.
Yeah,
and it wasn't that bad. It took me a while to find friends, like decent friends. Like I didn't have a good circle of friends until probably year 10 or 11.
Oh, really? So even from a young age, you struggled to find friends?
Yeah, I mean, I always remember this story. Like, so we went on there was a yearly excursion for the music kids in the school, of which I was sort of one of them. And we went to France. We did a couple of performances in France with a school we knew over there. And I went in year 7 and again in year 10. And there was this girl that when I was in year 10, we were getting the bus home because we lived close to each other. And she went, "Oh, so when did you transfer to this school?" But,
I shouldn't laugh. I didn't mean to laugh. But
no, it's fine. It's
really I just didn't expect you to say that, so it's caught me off guard.
I was that invisible.
Yeah.
I had classes with this girl in almost every year.
That's mad, though.
In some subject or other. I was in every school performance, and so was she. Like, we'd spent a lot of time over the 5 years in the same room.
Yeah.
And I've been on the same bus with her for the last 3 years.
Mate, I'm so shocked, but that's genuinely shocked me so much to hear that.
So, and I was a quiet kid, and again, we'll touch on it later, sort of and I think particularly for people that have done what we've done, as a job, you put a mask on, you put a face on to be a certain way.
Yeah.
That's what you're expected to be. But I was a quiet kid in general. I'm quite a quiet person. I'm quite happy sitting in the background.
Yeah.
I'm not the centre stage guy, and I have been.
But can I just interject? You say that, but you was in school plays. You was on stage. You was in the music thing. See, I never done any of that because all of that side of it was just terrified me. I didn't want to be centre stage. I didn't want to be in the limelight on any sort of group of school friends or anything. I just wanted to hide it and blend into the background. But you say that, but then you was putting yourself out there still.
Yeah, I was, but I never went for the main role.
Right. Okay.
Quite happy being in the choir, like in the crowd. Still, I never wanted to be the main person. I got a couple of like solo positions, and I've done some relatively big performances in Fairfield Halls, which is like the big music venue in Croydon.
Oh yes.
And I've done a couple of solo performances there in front of 500, 700 people.
Wow.
The mayor of Croydon. Like, I've done stuff like that, but it was never, particularly I think as I got older into sort of year 9, 10 age, there were never the positions that I actively went for.
Right.
I was happy being involved, but I didn't want to be the guy.
Yeah.
And, you sort of think, like, looking back on it as an adult, you sort of go, did things start even at that age? This fear, this anxiety, just sort of whispering like you can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you do that, it will just go horrendously wrong. And you get these sort of fever, anxiety daydreams of, standing on stage and your voice just going,
yeah,
or forgetting the words, or, just that whisper of you're just not good enough.
Yeah.
To do it. despite, I mean, I've got, like, for singing, I've got a grade 5 with distinction from the Royal School of Music. So it's not like I couldn't do it.
Wow.
Like,
I never knew that about you. So you can sing?
I could sing. Let's make a distinction. I could sing. I used to be able to sing.
Okay.
I was classically trained. I was in my church choir. I was obviously in lots of school choirs and lots of sort of singing and performance groups outside of sort of school and stuff like that as well, in terms of like pantomimes and stuff. But I think as I got older, not only did I find a different side of myself in terms of like that whole being quiet piece, I also found different types of music. So I'm classically trained, so it's like Ave Maria, like church music, I think is how people would describe it as. Whereas what I listen to is fairly heavy rock metal stuff, and the two they can mix if you listen to things like Nightwish and stuff like that, where you've got a classically trained opera singer, or Disturbed, where you've got a classically trained vocalist singing rock music. The real edge to it is amazing, but that doesn't work for me, and I think what I did is fuck my voice up trying.
Oh really?
And it's a real, it's still something, if I'm ever in the car by myself, it'll be like I'll have my own little concert. If I'm in the car with Abby, she absolutely loathes it, because I will just sing. And, if the song comes on that I like, it's probably a song that she likes because we like similar music, and I'll just destroy it. Yeah,
ruin it for her.
I'll just ruin it for her. And we went to a Fall Out Boy concert the other day, or say the other day, about a year ago now, and she sort of jokes that she saw, or what she heard was Steve featuring Fall Out Boy. Because I was singing every song at the top of my lungs.
But that's good that you're in a safe relationship, that you can be yourself and you can really kind of let your walls down and just enjoy life, and you've got someone to enjoy it there with you as well, with no judgment.
She was actually concerned about me coming on here, and she said it a couple of times, saying like, because I have that other persona almost, that I can come across as a bit of a salesy person, and that I need to be careful to not do that and actually just be who she knows.
Just be you, just be real. And it helps that, hopefully it helps that we know each other and that that you know me. But that's what I wanted to sort of touch on, really, because back when we worked together, I wasn't really ever not aware of mental health, but it wasn't really a big thing ever in my life, and I never was educated on it. And it was always, I was one of these people that wouldn't say like man up, but I would be like, oh, it's just this. I'd pass it off as an excuse, and I'd be like, oh, it's just this, just get on with it. Like, oh, it's just this, just get on with it. And I probably brought that into the work environment because of my role within the company, I guess, or within the office and the structure. I probably had to be quite like, I don't know how to describe it, but I had to be quite stern, but also I loved helping people and I loved showing people how to do things. But I think when it came to you clearly had like some mental health struggles, and I think you probably were even opening up to it to an extent, because you're quite an open book. I think you'd say that you're quite an honest person. But I probably don't see, looking back, I was like, well, I remember having chats with Steve. I remember I'd be the one that would stay late and talk to Steve. I remember we'd have conversations walking back to the car where you might hang around because we were always the ones that would work overtime. We would stay late. We would get those jobs that didn't get done. So then naturally we would then end up talking, and we would end up walking back to the cars together. And I just wonder if I was patient enough with you, or if I gave you enough time. Like, looking back, I can remember we had chats, but I wasn't really aware of mental health, and I would be just like, I was quite flippant about it. So looking back now, I'm thinking, God, was I a good, like, no, not mentor, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, because I was a senior in the office, I was above you in the office, did I give you enough support, or was I just listening and just wanting to kind of get on with my day? Because I can't really remember, because mental health wasn't really present in my life.
It's a tricky one, and I think like there's certainly no thoughts in my head about like, oh, I wish you'd have like listened to me and whatever. And obviously we've kept in touch afterwards for a reason. And I think if there was certainly anything on my side that I wouldn't have bothered sending you messages and stuff like that. And so yeah, I mean, I think I stayed behind because there was jobs to get done. There always was, right? But I also liked the opportunity to talk to you. Yeah. And I think part of that was, let's be honest, the office that we were in at the time wasn't the most well gelled team. We weren't the most cohesive unit in terms of what we did. There was there always is in sales, but there was maybe a bit more infighting than anybody really would have liked in an office. And you were sort of above that, I guess, and just sort of tried to crack on with it. But I think in terms of like the whole man up thing, which is obviously a borderline taboo in mental health, but is also very much what our day-to-day, or my day-to-day still is. There's jobs to be done, you get on with it.
Yeah.
But I also, you actually listened, and I think, I like to think sort of half took on board some of what was said. And I think, if I was having a bad day, bad days are what I've always deemed like really, like, I'm struggling to know, like this is bad. If I was having a bad half a day or whatever in the office, I would probably, I would have always been more comfortable talking to you than other people in the office, because I think you sort of understood, you half understood maybe, and no one really understands. And, you can probably appreciate that from where you are now, for better or for worse. No one really understands it until they've been through it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how many books you read, it doesn't matter how many podcasts you listen to, it doesn't matter how well versed you believe you are in mental health, until you've hit that wall, until you've come to that point of, I cannot carry on anymore. Like, I cannot do this anymore. And, and you've got someone else in front of you going, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what's next. I'm walking down the path and the path has ended.
Yeah.
You don't know what to say to that person. You can't know what to say to that person, because there's a level of empathy that is needed in that situation. And unless you have that personal lived experience of it, you can't be that guide, because you're on, to use the path analogy, you're on a path over there, where it's not crystal clear because nobody's is, but you've got a vague idea of where the path is going.
100%.
The person that you're speaking to, and this is my own analogy, the path has stopped. Yeah. And you can see is a cliff.
Well, this is where you're saying that your future was next week. Next week or the next day.
My future was next day.
Yeah.
And there were some points where it wasn't even that. There was days where I would leave the office, depending on the day that we'd had, depending on the day that I'd had and what happened in conversations, etc., or just what was going on in my own life. There was days where I didn't even know if I'd make it home that day, let alone back to the office the next day.
Christ.
And there were days where I would call our manager, and I remember doing this on a couple of occasions, just going, I can't come in. I can't. Yeah. Like, I can't get out of bed. I can't. And, you know, I say this a lot, sort of, you know, you say put the mask on. And I used to physically wake up in the morning, get ready for work and sort of, you know, look at myself and go, right, mask on.
Yeah.
And I used to say that phrase, like, mask on, let's go. And or, you know, I would do it in the car again, my rear view mirror. My, you know, sort of go, right, mask on. Smiles, people. Before I got to the office, and I was inevitably the first one in the office most of the time because I didn't have anything else going on in my life. So I'd get to work half hour, 45 minutes early, and, you know, do whatever needed to be done. But, you know, there was a 20-minute drive from home to the office for me down the dual carriageway, and there were days where that was terrifying.
Yeah.
Just driving my car, which is a day-to-day thing. It's something that certainly in estate agency, you know, you do every day. You know, without fail, you're in your car.
Yeah.
Every day, you know, and to be at the point where you're driving down the dual carriageway and looking at a bridge in a central reservation going, I could just go now. You know, I wouldn't hurt anyone else, but I could just do that now. And you're going down the motorway thinking that, you know, every 5 minutes or so, whenever one of those comes up.
That's quite draining. That must be quite, well, and yeah, I mean, obviously I can relate in some sense. Obviously it is exhausting, and I think from my point of view, when we were sort of working together, I was the person who I thought I had everything. And I was like, my life is fucking, I've nailed it. Like, I had a fiance, or, you know, a partner, had a baby, house. Life was planned out. So I didn't have the capacity to think like you could think, which is, my path has ended. My path has run out. My path was like, this is it. I can't even see the end of my path. And then obviously one day it just stops and you're like, oh, and then you go down the kind of the path I've been down, and then you start thinking, and there's not many people that I've come across like you who have opened up and you've been honest about your mental health and stuff. And I think you can then, when something happens to you and you've lived it, you can then relate back and think like that. And that's why I kind of wanted to talk to you, because I can now look back and relate to how you must have been feeling on those days, whereas at the time I probably couldn't. And there is a level of guilt, but I do think generally, like, I think I'm a nice person and I give a lot of people time, and I cared about that job, and I cared about the office, I cared about everyone in it, and I would have given anyone time. But you seem to want to listen and talk and learn, which I liked that about you. Whether it was, and I don't mean this to come across in any other way than like from a good place, but whether it was because you cared about the job or because you'd found a level that we could have a conversation on, and you just needed a friend for an hour to sit and talk, whether it was about our job and about the day, I was happy to do that because I loved my job and I loved talking about it and teaching people this is what I would do in this situation or that situation or whatever. But whether from your point of view it was just because you just needed a friend to talk to for an hour.
Yeah, I mean, there was probably a bit of both for me, to be fair. Like, I loved the job, that's why I've gone back into it, depending on the day. But, you know, I love the job, for better or for worse, and I like learning, I like listening to, and I still do that. You know, I'll purposefully put down the phone and, you know, not make a call so that I can listen to a conversation that's happening elsewhere and go, oh, that's a really good line and that's a really good thing to say. And, you know, I'm more experienced in it now, so I can understand why what's being said is being said and what and all of that type of stuff. Because I'm a senior now, I'm in a position where I can do what you did and have those conversations with other people. But equally, you know, you had, and from my point of view, you know, as you said, you had life sussed. You know, you had a a good career. You had a fiance, you had Harper, you had the house, the car, you had everything. And that was sort of me going, well, how do I emulate that? Because I don't have any of that. My car was on finance, and the finance was crippling me at the time, which didn't help. I couldn't afford my own accommodation. I was sofa surfing, living in house shares. I didn't have a friendship group of any description. I didn't have hobbies because I was in such a place that the hobbies that I did love, I wasn't going to anymore. And so I would leave the office, walk through, go home, walk into the room that I was renting for £500 a month or whatever, and that would be the end of my day. And it was almost like playing a video game, and you sort of go to bed and rest, and the screen goes black for 30 seconds, and you wake up 12 hours later. Time and repeat, and that's all I was doing. So definitely, sort of, there was a little bit of a cry for help, but I never wanted it to be that way. I never wanted it to seem that way. Well, you don't, right? Nobody wants to be, please be my friend guy. Like, please talk to me. I need it. And you certainly don't want to say, please talk to me for an hour because I might not be here tomorrow. It's just not what's said, is it? And maybe in the awareness front, that's sometimes what people need to be able to say.
I think you're right. Obviously we're focusing on sort of men's mental health here because we're both men, but actually mental health in general, like anyone, man or woman, like to be able to have to say that to someone, you just wouldn't. I don't think anyone would be that open enough to have a conversation with someone to say, this might be my last conversation, can you just talk to me for an hour? It's like no one would do it. It's just a hard thing, and I think there needs to be definitely more exposure to it. There's so many amazing groups out there that you can talk to that will be welcoming, that will be non-judgmental, and they're there to sort of listen. People that have gone through the same situations that you and I have. It's definitely not therapy. Can I just ask then, what was your lowest moment? Did you get a point where it was like you've hit rock bottom? This is the lowest point.
Oh yeah. So you said, like, in the intro, you said that, it's a shame that so many men get to the point where they don't think they can carry on, and a shocking amount of men get past that point and do something about it, and a shocking amount of people generally. I think the stat is like one person in the globe every 5 minutes or less than that.
That's mad, isn't it? I think in the UK it's 12 men a day we lose to suicide.
And I was very nearly one of them. I spent, it was before you and I knew each other, I got to a point where my marriage wasn't working. I was down here alone. I didn't have any friends, and it was Mother's Day. I remember this distinctly. It was Mother's Day. My wife had gone out with her family and the kids, so I sort of had and I didn't want to go because I won't go too far into that. But my wife's family don't speak English, so if we went out with them, it was a day of listening to other people have conversations in a different language that I didn't understand. May as well be alone. Was my thought process. So, and I actually did a tour, and I went to the place where I worked at the time. I took a walk, and almost without realising it, I said goodbye to the people that I worked with, and I walked back into town and bought 64 paracetamol tablets. So that's 2 packs from each store, which there's no checks on. You can only buy 2 from a store. There's nothing stopping you from going and doing the same in another store.
All right.
And I sat down at home with a milkshake, bizarrely, I chose as my drink, and downed all 64 of them.
Fuck.
Which you're not supposed to do.
No. I'd imagine there's something on the label about only having two every 4 hours or something.
Yeah, there is, I ignored that. Downed all 64 of them, and then just sat there, waiting. I don't know what I was waiting for.
Do you remember that moment? Do you remember what you sat and thought, what was going through your mind?
You know what? Yeah. It was surreal because I was sitting there watching a comedy show on Channel 4, drinking a milkshake, having just done this. And I was sort of like, I was laughing at the jokes and sort of going, this is mad because I'm sitting here laughing at a comedy show, drinking a milkshake, having just ended my life.
Wow, fuck.
And I was in that I was there in that zone for about an hour, maybe until the kids came home. And I said, no, they didn't know what, I didn't tell anyone. No one knew what happened. And I'd premeditated this, so I put the packets right in the bottom of the bin. It would do what I wanted it to do. Just didn't understand how the effect would be. But, in my head it was like, well, if I don't wake up tomorrow, it will be so hard for someone to figure out why that they won't be able to do anything about it.
Yeah.
So it was definitely premeditated that I didn't want to wake up, and then I was still trying to, carry on as normal almost for the kids. And I remember taking my daughter downstairs, carrying her because she was, this was quite a few years ago, so she was young. She could walk downstairs, but not 100% of the time. I was carrying her downstairs and I just felt like a wave of numbness, because that's what paracetamol does, is it dulls the nerves. So that's why you can't feel pain. I just felt a wave of numbness go through me, and sort of a complete unawareness almost of where I was. And I couldn't feel my fingers on the banister.
Wow.
And I couldn't feel myself take the steps down the stairs. And I got scared because obviously I was carrying my daughter, and could have easily dropped her. And I went upstairs and called 111. Don't know why I didn't call 999. I called 111. And I said, just done this. Sort of regret my actions now. What do I do? And obviously they go through the questions that 111 go to, and I'm assuming with, as a dad, you've called 111 for Harper at one point or other, and are you bleeding? No. Are you?
Yeah.
Have you done this? Have you done that? No. It's your chest hot? No. And then put me straight through to a doctor who sort of said, normally for overdoses we do a poison calculator, and you sort of figure out how much danger you're in, and what, how quickly you need to be seen, or if you need to be seen, because you might just be a bit uncomfortable, whatever, but I'm not even going to bother. You need to get to A&E, and you need to get there now.
Wow.
And at that point I was like, oh shit, I'm going to have to say what I've done.
Christ.
So booked a taxi to get me to A&E, because they said it would be faster than waiting for an ambulance. And I said to my now ex-wife, but said, I need to go. I need to go to hospital because I've done this. And she'd go, what are you trying to do? Kill yourself or something? I was like, yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what I was trying to do.
Jesus.
And then I got in the cab and left, and I was in A&E for 4 hours waiting. And when they called my name, obviously this is now 5-6 hours after I've actually taken anything, or maybe longer than that. I stood up, almost got to the door where you go from the waiting room into A&E itself, and then just collapsed. Like fell through the door. And went in and out of consciousness. And you don't realise it, but, I was awake one moment, and then I closed my eyes, and I woke up, and, I seen my mum and my younger brother sitting across from me. So they've obviously arrived at some point.
Yeah.
No idea how long I've been out for. And then I'm out again, and then I'm thrown up, and then I'm out, and I've got no idea what's happening around me. And, one moment I wake up and there's people there, the next moment I wake up and there's nobody there. And I've no idea really what's going on, what's happening with me, my body. I'm not really conscious enough to think about it in any real detail. But I was in hospital for 3 days.
Christ.
After that, on a drip, they made me drink that charcoal drink they make you drink. And I was on a drip for 36 hours straight, trying to flush my bloodstream, my system, because it had gone out, it had gone through my stomach.
By the time it gets to like 6-7 hours, 8 hours, it's in your bloodstream, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. So it wasn't a case of pumping my stomach. It's in you.
Yeah.
And that amount, what would actually happen is it would shut my liver down to start with, and then from there it would just cause systematic organ failure.
Yeah.
And it would have been excruciating. It wouldn't be me falling asleep in the night and waking up.
Yeah.
Not waking up, rather. It would have been horrific.
Yeah.
And it would have been days of me turning yellow, and because that's what happens when your liver shuts down, and my kidney shutting down, and this, that, and the other, until there was nothing left to shut down.
I think that's I think that then is a general. Did you know that? Because I didn't know that. So I've never taken pills or stuff. But the consensus is, I'll take all these pills and I'll just fall asleep and I'll go. But that's not the case. That won't happen.
No. And I started. You may or may not remember this. I started doing a degree in biology, so I had a rough idea. But it wasn't until I said it to a friend who has a master's in immunology that I speak to him. Where he's my best friend. We speak all the time. He was like, "You're a fucking idiot," because this is what actually would have happened in that situation, and it would have been horrific for you, and it would have been horrific for everyone who had to watch that happen to you. No, you don't. You won't just fade away. It would have been a painful process. And I was woken up rather on the day before I was discharged by someone from the mental health team going, like, I'm going to shoot straight with you. Like, we'll let this as a one-off, but you're going to be strictly looked after by the mental health team. Like, you're going to get a home visit every single day for the next 3 months.
But you probably needed it. Like that you got to that point that you probably needed it.
100%, but it was a visit from the mental health team every single day, and then every other day. and then every week until they sort of cleared me.
Yeah.
But the guy that was sitting at the end of my bed in the hospital went, like, that's what's going to happen this time. If you do this again, we'll section you.
Yeah.
Like, and that's it. Like, you'll be in hospital and you'll be sectioned.
Well, that's scary, isn't it?
And it still sticks with me because, you know, I'm still under the mental health team to this day. Because I've had a couple of other, nothing anywhere near as bad, but I've had a couple of other instances, let's call them, where things haven't been so great, and I've had to go to A&E and just talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And that's still in the back of my head, going like, if I did something, then I'd be sectioned. But fortunately, I'm not in that place now. Thank God.
Thank God, mate. Well, I for one, I'm glad that you phoned 111 and you did something about it. Was the moment that you decided, because you said that you went back upstairs and phoned them, was it carrying your daughter down the stairs that you thought, fuck, I've made a mistake here?
Yeah, 100%. You know, carrying her downstairs and going, I can't. Like, she's clinging onto me.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do. Like, she's holding on to me, chatting absolute gibberish in my ear. And I can't. And I'm going to, if I fall, she goes with me.
Yeah.
And after that, I think she needed some Nurofen or something. I can't remember, but I took her downstairs for a reason to the kitchen. And yeah, after that, and it's a little bit hazy there, but after that, yeah, I went upstairs and called 111 almost immediately afterwards.
Yeah.
Because it was just like, I need to do something.
Yeah.
About this. This is not right. This is not the way I want it to go.
So do you think the mental health team did that have a good impact on you having a future? Because you hear so many negative stories about, and maybe they are overwhelmed now more these days to back then, but the fact that they were visiting you every day just to make sure you were kind of doing okay and checking in and keeping you in check.
Yeah, I think, you know, the mental health teams sort of where I live and across the country, and again, you only look into this when you have to deal with them. They're so overstretched. It's mad how they keep going, because what they do is so important.
Yeah.
And they rely on independent groups and, you know, charities that other people will set up to, you know, service the community, because they physically cannot reach everyone. Which is why sort of podcasts like this are so important, which, you know, when I heard about it, I was like, yeah, you know, this, you know, I want to jump on and chat to you, that, you know, it needs you know, things like this need as much support as they can get.
Yeah.
Because the NHS can't reach everyone. It's not possible for it. But, you know, just the sheer fact of, it was just the regimenting, because they would come at a certain time every day. It would come at 5 o'clock or 5:30 after I'd finished work every day. So I had to be there.
Yeah.
It's like this real, like, you're going to be in trouble if,
yeah,
like almost like a detention type thing. But it was that structure.
Or like you're on prison release and they're like,
literally, yeah. But and they would ask, like, you know, they would ask the same questions, like, you know, have you had any thoughts about harming yourself? Have you had any thoughts about harming others? You know, where are you on a scale of, you know, 1 to 10, and all of that type of stuff. And, you know, my answers were pretty much the same every day. But it was just the fact that, and this is why talking is so important. It was literally just the fact that there was someone there who, yes, they were paid to do it, but there was someone there who would come and talk to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
In whatever sense, in whatever capacity, there was somebody there or two people there that would turn up, and I knew they were coming, and I could talk to them.
Yeah.
And I was raw, and I was ashamed, and I was guilty, and I was closed off to saying a lot of what was actually going through my head. Because the reality of it is that I lived with consistent, vivid, suicidal and self-harm thoughts every day, every hour for 10 years of my life.
That's a long time.
It's a really long time, and it's absolutely exhausting. And I still have them. You know, you're never better. But there was just the fact that someone was coming to talk to me.
Yeah. Did you have any other support around you? Obviously you said at the time you were married. Did you have a support network other than this?
Not really. I think it was tough because I was the only person that I knew that had this.
Yeah.
That had this cloud hanging over me. Because, we're still going back, 8 years, 9 years now. It was a thing, but it wasn't as big as it is now.
Yeah.
There were probably groups out there. Obviously, there was people like the Samaritans out there. But you've got to pick up the phone, and you've got to make that call, and that's on you.
Yeah.
And when you're in that place where you feel so guilty because you know you shouldn't be thinking like this, and you're ashamed because of what I'd just done. And, there was other stuff in the background. My life hadn't been going so great. And I'd kept some secrets that I shouldn't have been keeping. My finances were a bit of a mess. And I at no point claimed to be a saint. I'd make mistakes, which hadn't helped. But, so there was guilt there, there was shame, there was all of these negative emotions going on. You can only hear the negative emotions, and you can only hear the negative voices in your head. And it's like, you probably remember, like, I'm quite big on like mythology, and it's like Pandora's box. You open that box, and all of the negative voices come out, and all of the badness in the world is locked away in that one box. And all you need is that one tiny little voice of hope, and that one person reaching out to you, going, "Hey, do you need a chat?
Yeah.
Do you need a talk? Like, are you okay?" And then asking, "Are you okay?" again, because you ask someone, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
They'll say yes. Then you ask them again and say, "Are you really okay?" And you might get a little, well, such and such hasn't been going so well, and you can try and open up from there. But how important one person reaching out to you is. You staying behind and talking to me in the office, for example, like, you can never underestimate how important that is. Because that got me home.
Wow, that's powerful. Exactly. And I would never have known.
No,
I would have just been driving home, just thinking about, I'm going to go home to my family now and go home and do this. And I would have probably thought, Steve was interested in what I had to say today. That was quite nice. But you'd never have the thought of that chat. It sounds too, and this sound, I don't want this to sound not arrogant, but like, that chat saved his life, because at the time you would not have been aware of just having a chat with someone has made them feel like they're not alone. But
and you wouldn't have known that.
Yeah.
And there's no reason that I would have wanted you to know that ever.
Yeah.
At that point.
But is that because the stigma of men don't talk? Men can't talk, men keep their emotions. Is it because of that, or I think
it was probably more the industry that we're in. And I'm looking at some point. So I'm currently doing a qualification in HR to go into HR at some point in the future, or to do something in that space looking at mental health within the sales profession.
Incredible.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah. No.
You know, everybody's got these employee programs where, you know, you can call this number and you get someone to talk to, and, you know, and I've used them and I've had therapy sessions from them, and they're good and they're invaluable. Sorry. And there was a period of time when you may have left at that point, to be fair, but during COVID in the office that we worked in, I had COVID and I had to take some time away, because I was isolating. But at the same time, I had weekly therapy sessions.
I remember it. I do remember it.
Yeah. Were there? Yeah. You know, and when I came back, I had to bring my laptop in once a week and go upstairs for an hour or whatever for it. And that was all because of this. And I've used it, and they are good. But as an industry, and I'll use the term sales as a whole, but you know, the men are hard. I can't remember what film it is, but, you know, it's like the men are hard, the women are hard, the children are hard, the babies are hard. You know, we're all hard, and we're all, you know, because it's rejection after rejection, and that is the industry. Yeah. And you get it, and it's every phone call is a no. Every phone call's a no. Which is really hard when you're in a bad headspace. Yeah. I mean, I don't take rejection well on any level ever. I don't know how some people do the jobs that you mentioned earlier, where it's like 200 calls a day and you might get one yes. Like, it's just, I couldn't put myself through it. High school was a really good training ground for that. Well, because, you know, the amount of girls you ask out and get rejected, like, I got my training in early with that. See, I didn't get rejected that much by girls. Now, every single one. That's why I think I tried to be. Obviously, everyone wants to be good at their job. Yeah. But I think the better you are at your job, I think there was certain areas I was particularly good at. You know, someone coming with a complaint or offer handling. I think I was pretty good at those sorts of things, because a lot of it was the things that people didn't want. A complaint comes in and everyone like scurries back to their desks, and I'm like, I'll deal with that, because that's going to be, I could get this from it, or could get that, or it's a learning curve, or I could teach others how to deal with it. And I would look at the positives. But also, I think the constant rejection, it's more in the earlier days of a state agency, when you're new to it and you don't really know what you're doing, and you're trying to sort of hone your craft, if you like. And I think I just wanted to be really good at it, so I didn't get that much rejection. And the better I was, and the more personable I was with people, whether it was in valuing, offer handling, the more like friendly and the more like trying to make them feel like we were friends in that conversation, the more of a success rate I got, rather than a just, hi, can I come and value your house? No, okay, bye. It was just constant rejection. But you only learn that over time and over experience. Yeah. I think when you go back to the office environment in a state agency, and it doesn't. I think any job, it has its pros and its cons. But I think for me, one of the huge benefits was just having a team of people there to talk to anyway, all day. And now, you know, going from a 20-year career where I'd always worked in offices, and all of the offices in the company that I worked for, there was always struggles, and sometimes the team didn't fit as well as others, but all the people, you know, were good, and it was always a team, and it was always a kind of team ethic, and you felt part of something. Yep. And then going from that to when I jumped into sort of full-time social media was like, okay, there's just two of us now. That's quite isolating. To then go into, oh fuck, it's just me. It's really, like, social media is isolating enough. So I think for me, as much as I'm really glad I get to talk to people like you and, you know, a different person every week about their struggles and what they've been through, but actually, even for me, this is a sort of therapy, because I get to talk to someone for an hour as well. Yeah. And I think, like, when you went from the career to just the two of you, it was positive. It was all good, right? Yeah. And I remember you sitting in the room, and we just done like a team meeting, and then went, oh, any other business? And then you said, oh, I'm leaving. Stunned silence, because none of us saw that coming. But it was positive because you had an opportunity to do something amazing.
Yeah.
And to work for, to work for just you two and build a real thing out of it. So it was all positive. But when it went from the two of you to just you, obviously you had all the other stuff that comes with that.
Yeah.
That came with that surrounding it as well. And it was, I guess just a case of dusting yourself off every day and moving on and just getting it done because it had to be done. You had to carry on.
Well, it was the whole reason I did it in the first place was, one, it was a great opportunity, and it's kind of how many people can. And I remember I used to talk myself into this. So I loved my job, and I loved it. And you know this, and everyone that works with me would know that I love the company that we worked for. I love the people I work with. I loved my job. So I had to talk to myself every day, and it was like, right, not many people will even get an opportunity to make this decision. And then out of all the people that do get that opportunity to make that decision, how many of them say, fuck it, I'm going to do it? And probably not that many. And I just thought, I've worked hard for 20 years. I've loved my career. The company were really good, and they said I can come back if it doesn't work out for me. They even wanted to keep me on. They offered me the chance to stay on for a couple of days a week, but I just knew that I needed to do it and jump in. And I think it was scary, definitely was scary, but I loved making content. I loved putting stuff out there that would hopefully make people laugh. But actually, it changed very quickly for me. It changed, and I think this is where sort of mental health became a part of, like, my struggle was, I used to make content because it was funny and I used to enjoy doing it. And that hasn't changed. I still enjoy it. But it then become about not doing it just for fun, just for a laugh, just for an escape, because we're in COVID and we're in lockdown and I can have 10 minutes a day where I can make a silly video and that's a 10-minute escape. It was, I've got to earn money from this now. It was a job.
Yeah.
And it became a job, and then the fun element come out, and it becomes stressful. It does, and that's, I would sit up and I would do all the writing, all the ideas were me. I would sit up till 2-3 in the morning. It wasn't very sociable because it was just me sitting on my own anyway. So I think that's where my sort of struggles went. And then obviously when it became just me, it was kind of, I felt like I'd lost like so much overnight, just like that. Wife gone, time with your kid gone, the home that you love and brought your daughter up, you're going to be gone from that. It's all gone. So I was like, I don't want to lose another thing. Like, social media was my baby. I didn't want to lose another thing. So I've really tried to hold on to it. And it's been a struggle. Like, it's not easy to earn money through social media, and it's always changing. You've always got, and I'm an old, like, I'm 41. I'm not like a 20-year-old who's on point with all the trends. Like, I'll see a trend 2 years later and I'll be like, oh, that's good, but it's past. But I'll be like, I'm going to do that trend. And I post it, and it's like, well, what you're doing is 2 years ago. But I'm trying. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying. And a lot of people, I think they don't try. They don't take that chance. And I think sometimes you've got to. Will it pay off? I don't know. I might be back sitting in an estate agency soon. And if that's the case, that's fine with me. Like, I've had 3, 4, 5 brilliant years in social media.
Say you took the risk, right?
I can say that I tried and I did it, and anyone that kind of can sit there and judge, that's fine. But it's like, at least I tried something.
Yeah. It's hard to take the risk. It's hard to take the jump.
And
the fact that you stayed in it, and you've tried to adjust, and you've tried to change, and you've changed the type of content that you put out after everything that's happened to you, and you still put a positive focus on it, is amazing. And it's a testament to you and who you are.
Thank you, mate.
Because I would have crumbled, and I would have gone, well, I'd have been back in the office.
Yeah.
Because it's an environment that you were comfortable in.
Yeah.
And you were good at, and you knew you were good at. And you'd have been welcomed back 100%. So, I look at your stories every day, and yes, the content's changed, but I find it more real, the stuff that you put out now, because I can relate to it, certainly, and I find it more engaging and I find it funny, although it's a different kind of funny.
I think, and I actually prefer being able to just make. I prefer if I could just vlog me every day, and if that would be enough, then I would do that, because I find that I can be more naturally funny when I'm just talking to a camera. I'm just doing what I'm doing. When everything's sort of planned and like not staged so much, but it's planned. You've got to have a certain joke in there. You've got to hit a certain point at a certain, like there's so many things to think about. And there's a market for it, like the pranks, of course there's a market for it, but it was never going to be forever. But actually, I think just me being me, like people aren't just funny 24/7. Like if you look at most comedians that stand on stage for an hour and a half every night making people laugh, for the rest of the day, they're probably fucking miserable. They're probably, because it takes it out of you. So I do like just being real and just being me. But I also like the fact that I can put a really real side, a really raw side out there. And it comes with judgment. I think I said this in the intro, actually, before you jumped on the podcast, but someone messaged me the other day and it was such a lovely message. It was so, so nice. It genuinely made me smile like for the whole day. But she basically said, like, getting into it as some of the support, the fact that I can put myself out there, it means I've always got a level of support. And going back to what you'd said earlier, just having that one person that would just say, are you okay? Just knowing you've got one person that's asking after you. Well, I would get hundreds and hundreds of DMs saying, are you okay? I'm here if you want to talk. And I would probably never answered any of them and told them what was going on in my head. But the fact I had all those messages was just enough for me to think someone cares. Someone cares about me.
I think the thing that comes to my head, and this isn't a down on you at all, because you've built that network through nothing but sheer hard work. You're so lucky to have had that many people care about you, because I would have given anything for one person to say, are you okay? Other than just walking into the office and everyone going, there's traditionally morning, mate, you're right.
Yeah.
Which you
just the normal,
To which the standard response is, yeah, mate, you. So you're not going to say anything else, are you?
Well, that's it. You're in an office full of people.
You're not going to walk in at 8:00 on a Monday morning and go, actually, you know what? I very nearly didn't make it in today.
Yeah.
Because X, Y, Z, you know. I would have given anything.
Yeah.
One person.
There is a flip side to it, though. There is a flip side to this. Yeah, it is nice having all of that support, don't get me wrong, and I think I'm very lucky and I'm very grateful for it. But what comes with that, with putting yourself out there, is there is also a level of stop fucking crying on the internet, stop doing this, stop, like, just fucking man up, just what is your problem, just fucking make funny videos and leave us, like, it comes with that as well. So you have to really battle through and think, okay, there are people that, and I would take 1 million negative comments if one person said, you saved my life today. And I'm saying that to be dramatic, but
yeah, but it goes back to that whole Pandora's box thing.
Yeah,
you get all the bad voices, but actually one good voice of hope or glimmer makes a massive difference.
It's definitely not therapy.
There is one thing that I wanted, I'm conscious of time in my head as well, but there's one thing that I really wanted to say, which is massively personal to me. It is where my story, I guess, started for real.
Yeah.
Like in terms of mental health, and it's where it really started to go wrong. And I get it, it's a bit of a deep, I mean, we're here to talk about the real stuff anyway, so it shouldn't matter. But if there's anybody, men particularly, but anybody obviously that is out there struggling with domestic abuse, and I think I say this to men because it's so much harder for men to talk up about it. I was in a really shit relationship when I was early 20s, I guess. I was beaten, I was stabbed, I was locked outside, I was slept on balconies, I was locked outside the flat in a massive communal block with literally nothing on me at all, which is not a pleasant image, I assure you. I was isolated, and I think it's, and I came home from that a totally different person.
Wow.
And if there's anybody that listens to this, or that knows someone, or if you're worried about someone thinking that this isn't how they used to be, this isn't how my friend was before this, if there's anything out there, like, talk to your friend, ask them outright. And if you are that person, talk to somebody, anybody. And I can't stress that enough. There's so many groups out there now. There's so much support out there now. And you don't have to do it by yourself.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't get better. The longer you're there, it doesn't change. It doesn't get better.
It only gets worse.
Gets worse.
The people I've spoken to about this, and I'm not very well educated in it, so I'm certainly not here to kind of advise people. But I've been very lucky. But I think some of the people that I've spoken to that have been in that exact situation, even you're a big lad, you can take care of yourself. It's the people you don't expect.
Yeah, I mean, I'm what, 6'2", I'm 90 odd kilos. I've got a black belt. I had a black belt when this happened, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it means nothing.
Yeah,
because you're not going to do. I could have dealt with it, but you won't. Emotionally, you won't, and you'll carry the scars.
Yeah,
mental and physical for forever. But there's a lot of help out there. There's a lot of support out there. There's a lot of peer groups out there that will help you. Because unfortunately, there's so many people that have to deal with it, but there's enough support out there that can help you.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, actually. What do you do now? What kind of...
Yeah, so...
Do you have any support groups you go to? Because obviously there's some great ones. Andy's Man Club is the sort of the one I know the most about, because I have so many people contact me saying, at the time when I sort of posted a video about my breakup, the thing that came up most in my DMs was go and talk to Andy's Man Club, But you've got the Mindset Bros out there now as well. I see you're wearing a t-shirt. Is that the Boys Get Sad Too t-shirt?
Yeah. This is Boys Get Sad Too. Yeah. So the one that they're like down where I am, on the Kent coast. There's a group very similar to Andy's Man Club, but they don't function down here. But they do loads of good work. But there's a group called ManSpace, which have meetings Mondays and Thursdays.
Okay. What's it called? ManSpace.
ManSpace. Yeah. Group of us just meet up in a hall or a room, and just you've got a space there of other blokes, completely non-judgmental, and you get your time to say exactly what needs to be said, and it doesn't matter how trivial it is. And then I said, I'm actually really nervous because I've got an amazing opportunity to go on a podcast tomorrow and be open about it. And then I looked at your following, it was like 120,000 people. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's a lot of people to just be this open with. We've got mutual connections, so I'll know some of these people that will watch this, and they'll know me. Probably, don't know.
I'm glad that you did it. I'm glad that you come on. And just to overwhelm you even more, like on TikTok, I've nearly got 1 million followers now, and
brilliant.
Facebook, it's nearly 500,000 followers. So just no pressure, but we're talking about over 1.5 million people. It's definitely not therapy.
I was going to say that actually when you were saying like that, all the negative comments and all the trolling comments that you get and got about when your style of social media changed. I was going to, something that came to my head was a lot of people, myself included, use social media as an escapism.
Yeah.
They scroll. So, and it is mindless scrolling, doom scrolling, I think is the term for it. Real content, if you like the slightly harder hitting stuff, like what sometimes you can put out now, and stuff like this, they won't want to see it because that's not what they've gone there for.
100%.
Funny videos of people pushing people into pools and, people shooting Nerf guns at each other and all, whatever else you see on social media.
Yeah.
They don't go on social media for stories about people struggling because they're probably struggling. So actually the response to, give us something funny is not like, I know you don't, you always sort of take the high road, but the response to it is, are you all right?
Yeah.
Why do you feel the need to say something like that to me? Because the whole idea of social media is to connect everyone.
Yeah,
that's the whole point behind it. The job that I do, which involves absolutely no social media posting of any description, because I work in an estate agency, and as we know, all estate agencies are stuck in the 1980s.
But there's a few now that are being a bit more modern. I think it does need to move forward. It is a very outdated. You've all got to wear suits and shirts and ties every day. And actually,
we're off the suits now, mate. We're off the suits.
You're off the suits now.
It's shirts and chinos.
Nice. See, I like to hear that. That's the main reason I didn't come back into a estate agency. Actually, I can't bear putting a suit. I threw all my suits away when I left. I did this ritual. I was like, right, the shoes are gone. I don't need smart shoes. Suits are gone. Throw them all away. Then about 2 weeks later, I needed to go to a wedding, and I was like, fuck it, why did I throw them suits away? I needed them.
I remember for months after you left, you were still making videos about you coming home from work in your shirt and tie, and I was like, oh, fuck off.
It's definitely not therapy.
To use the platform that you built from something else. And to have had the audience that you've got see and follow and watch what's happened over the last sort of couple of years, and then to now use the platform that you've built to do what you do is amazing. And there's not many people, I don't think, that would have been that open about it. Like that first video that you shared, was heartbreaking, and I only watched it the once because I couldn't watch it again.
Yeah, I hear that a lot, to be fair.
And it was, and the second one was the same. Like the diary that you kept just to keep yourself going, almost.
Yeah, that's what it was. So before we wrap up, Steve, there's two last things I want to go through. One, if you could tell your younger self one thing about life, or give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Be the person that you want to be. If you want to, like going back to what we were saying at the start, if you want to go on stage, if you want to go for the big part, do that. If it goes wrong, it goes wrong.
Yeah.
It's a good story to tell later.
Yeah.
And that's all it'll be.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the end of the world.
Okay, look, Steve, before we say goodbye, what's your best joke?
Yeah. Did you hear about the restaurant on the moon?
Did I hear about the restaurant on the moon?
Restaurant on the moon. Really, really good food. No atmosphere.
Exactly what I expected from you, Steve. Exactly what I expected.
Yeah.
Look, thank you so much for joining, mate. I really, really appreciate it.
Thanks for the invite.
It helps spread awareness, and I think you've been really open and really vulnerable. So, yeah, mate, I thank you for that. And just look after yourself. I'm really happy for you. I'm happy that you've got ManSpace, the group that you go to. I'm really pleased that you've found Abby and you found your person, and I'm really pleased you're doing well for yourself, mate. I really am.
Yeah, no, thanks, mate. Thanks for the invite, and thanks for spreading the awareness as well. It's an amazing thing to do.
You're welcome, mate. No, I'm glad that you've been part of it as well. But keep in touch, and we'll go for a beer soon.
Yeah, no, it's a chat.
All right, mate. Have a nice day, Steve. Take care.
You too. Bye.
It's definitely not therapy. That was Steve. Really open, really vulnerable. It's a really, really good conversation. Genuinely, hand on heart, so happy to see that he's doing so well. He's clearly hit the depths of not wanting to be here anymore. I think it's a big reminder that, you know what, none of us have this figured out. None of us have it figured out. We're just doing what we have to do every single day to get by. And if you're that person now and you're struggling, do you know what? Yeah, it might not be that you can get out of bed and go to a support group right now, but if you've got a phone, DM someone, talk to a friend, talk to a family member, message a support group, DM me, just do something, start that process, because it does get better, it does get easier. Anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I look forward to seeing you on the next podcast. We have an Instagram page, Definitely Not Therapy Pod. Go and give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment, give us a share. We're trying to spread awareness around mental health. And listen, if you know anything about me, I do use dark humour to cope with bad situations. It's just how I am. I think that you can laugh at anything. Mental health is a really, really serious topic. So there's not that many laughs in this podcast, I will admit that. The main goal of it is just spreading awareness. So if you can help us, if you can give us a like and a share and a follow, and just tell people about us, tell people to tune in and listen to the podcast, someone that might just need to hear some of the topics that we're talking about right now. The podcast will be streamed across my YouTube channel, which is just Dan Lawrence if you search on YouTube. It will also be streamed across all major podcast platforms. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts or Amazon Music, all the big names. All the big names, really. So wherever you listen to your podcasts, search for Definitely Not Therapy. This is Definitely Not Therapy. It's definitely not therapy.